Holy cow, Brian Chesky came out with a huge announcement here about how he's trying to make amends with the Airbnb hosts here on March 30th. A big time 4-step process in which he's trying to make things good with hosts again. And honestly, I'm going to not only tell you what he said, but I'm going to share what I think about what he did. And I'm also going to share what I think about what hosts are talking about right now too. If you're an Airbnb host, you're probably going to dislike this. If you're an entrepreneur who happens to be a host on Airbnb, you're probably going to like this. So stay tuned to see what I think about this. And please subscribe, comment, and like or dislike. I don't care, because we're talking about short-term rentals right now. All right, so first things first, let's talk about what was announced. Brian Chesky came onto the camera from his home and, was very apologetic, and he was empathizing with everyone. He was also sharing that he really admitted that he had been detached from hosts recently as he continued to build the business. He got further and further away from the hosts, and he said that he really wants to have a partnership with hosts and let them be a part of the decision. And he apologized. He was very apologetic for just going and basically canceling all reservations, or allowing guests to cancel all reservations without a refund and without consulting the host on that as well. Now, I guess my question is, guys, for those of you that have been really upset about this, like, have you put yourself in the shoes of the guest too? Like, how am I supposed to, as a guest, feel like I owe you something and need to pay you something if everything outside of my control is why this was canceled? Now, Brian did talk about something else, which is travel insurance. And this is really a big deal here. Why wasn't this looked at before? Why wasn't there some sort of opportunity to sign up for, hey, if extenuating circumstances happen, then you pay an extra $20 or something, and you've got travel insurance on your Airbnb booking. Now, that is something that if they can do that moving forward, then we don't have to have this conversation. The guests don't sign up for travel insurance and another COVID-19 sort of thing happens, that's on the guest. That's on you. You did not sign up for that travel insurance that was right there for you. Now, leading up to this, though, because there was no option for that, I guess my question is to you hosts, like, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't want people to have to pay for this, because it's not their fault. It's not my fault, but it's also not their fault either. It's Mother Nature's fault right now. And so how are we supposed to fault them? So yes, I do believe Brian Chesky was supposed to let hosts know this before, or at least consult. But I would hope that the majority of hosts, knowing what this would do, would still say, hey, yeah, I mean, it's really not their fault. So what are we supposed to do? Guys, this is one of those things that every single person is being affected. This isn't like 2008 in real estate where people who owned homes were affected. This is where everyone in the world is being affected right now. So to think that you deserve something or don't deserve something really doesn't make a lot of sense to me right now. And I'm sorry, that's probably going to hurt some feelings right now. Comment below. I'm open for an open debate. I'm not trying to piss anyone off by saying this, but to me, when that news came out that guests could cancel for free, I kind of just shook my head and said, yeah, that makes sense. And by the way, everything I'm about to mention, you can go to airbnb.com/COVID-19, and it will give you all the descriptions of everything in case I butcher anything, because I'm likely to do that. But basically, let me just run through this. He gave 4 steps. The first step, which is incredible for us hosts, is that they are doing a $250 million basically contribution to all of these cancellations that happen. So if you had a guest between March 14th to May 31st that booked before March 13th or March 14th, cancel during that time. So, hey, I booked something on March 10th, and it was going to be between March 14th to May 31st, and I canceled that. Well, all of that got refunded to me as a guest, but as a host, nothing was given to me. Now they're coming out and saying, with $250 million, we are going to guarantee that those types of cancellations that were under the extenuating circumstances policy will get refunded to hosts as well at a 25% clip. So in other words, if a guest was going to pay $100 and they canceled and they got their full $100 back and we got nothing, now we're getting $25. We're getting 25% of that. So that is totally okay in my book, especially because I don't think this is supposed to, like, the people who had cancellations and they weren't rebooked. You're probably saying right now, okay, that's better. but it's still not great. And then for people like me who, like in March, I was still over 90% booked, just at really, really low rates. So all of my cancellations happened and then they got rebooked at a lower rate. So for me, that kind of like cancels it out and makes things good with me. So I'm very happy about that. Hopefully you are too. Let me know what you think about that. Comment below. The payout will happen in April. Just going through some notes here. Payout will happen in April. Must meet the extenuating circumstances policies, and the guests can still get a full refund if it is under those extenuating circumstances policy. Next, the second one was a $10 million Superhost relief fund. I thought this was really cool. $10 million, $9 million coming out of the founder's pocket, $1 million coming out of employees of Airbnb, which I thought was really like, I hope that was voluntary on their end. If so, like, thank you, Airbnb employees. That's so cool that you're doing that. And a $5,000 essentially grant will be given to superhosts who meet these qualifications. Hosts who use their property as their first or their primary or secondary property, hosts who do not have more than 2 listings, they show a reliance on Airbnb as a vital source of income, whatever that means specifically, have a verified identity, have been a super host for over a year, and here's another vague one, have lost a significant amount of their earnings due to COVID-19. Whatever a significant amount is, I don't know. But in other words, this isn't going to help the big Airbnb business owner. This isn't even going to help the Airbnb business owner who has 3 or 4 listings. This is going to help the person who is basically saying, hey, this is my primary residence, or hey, this is my vacation getaway. And when I don't use it, I put it on Airbnb and I rely on Airbnb to pay that mortgage. I think that's really cool. I think that is not a handout. I think that is a thing that right now is needed for these people, because if I have a vacation rental, most of the time I don't have the opportunity to put a long-term tenant in there if Airbnb is affected. Now I do want to talk about that a little bit later, and how you can continue to put in tenants outside of Airbnb no matter what's going on. But I really do think that's super cool. Then the next thing, this was already kind of shared before, but now Airbnb is coming out vocally about this, which is basically they're helping over 100,000 first responders to the COVID-19 pandemic to be able to book on Airbnb at a discounted rate by basically getting rid of all Airbnb fees. Now, again, if I'm butchering anything, I do apologize. This was literally just, it's 3:55 right now. This stuff was just mentioned about 55 minutes ago. I tried to get as much of the information as I could. But basically, what that means is that as a host, I can host you, a first responder, and I still get paid, but Airbnb waives the service fees, which is roughly about 12%, 9% to the guest, 3% taken from the host. So that's really cool. So you can now host to first responders. You can go to, once again, airbnb.com/COVID-19, sign up as a host, or if you don't want to do that, if you would rather, if you're worried about first responders coming in and, bringing the virus into your house, Airbnb does have a really cool step-by-step guide on how to prevent your home from carrying the disease. But if you're not comfortable with that, you can also just donate. So I've already listed my house as hosting. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I, really encourage you guys to do the same thing. And if not, definitely go towards donating as well. And then lastly, this is cool for the US so far. And I'm sure Brian Chesky is trying to continue to do more to be able to get this into other countries. But basically, grants for the U.S. citizens are being put in place with Congress for loans, for relief funds that are going to help Airbnb hosts that rely on this as, a very large source of income for themselves, whether that's primary or, again, talking about, just being able to pay their mortgage. So now, with all this being said, again, I want to direct you for the Q&A stuff. Like, don't ask me the Q&A stuff. Go to Airbnb/COVID-19 and get all the Q&A stuff. But I want to know what you think about this, what you've been thinking leading up to this, and also, have you been proactively finding a solution? Because here's the deal. There's a lot of people talking right now. Oh, I can't believe Brian Chesky went and the guy from Airbnb Automated has been very vocal about how he is disappointed in Brian Chesky. If you're disappointed in Brian Chesky right now, leading up to this day on March 30th, maybe today what he shared with you gave you a little bit more hope. But I'm sorry, guys. You're an Airbnb host. You're not an entrepreneur. Okay. You need to find solutions to problems. We're not in the Airbnb business. We're in the short-term rentals business. This is a conversation I just had with Jay Massey the other day. The people who are complaining right now, the people who are going to drop off, the people that are turning their places to long-term rentals and saying, screw you, Airbnb right now, are the ones that didn't think about plan B and plan C in worst case scenario. Every single property that I've gotten into, I've had the question, does this work as a regular short-term rental, which I'll talk about in a second. What does that mean? A traveling nurses rental, a month-to-month rental, a long-term rental. Am I going to make money no matter what? And if I am, then I don't care what Airbnb is doing. I don't care if Airbnb is a platform. And I didn't think I was going to have to try all of those plan B, plan C, plan Ds until later on, but now I do. And I can tell you right now, because I did these deals right, and because I thought about the worst case scenario, and I went and started looking for solutions, I got great advice from a good friend of mine, Alan Quivas, about getting people in and doing month-to-month rentals right now. Now, let me pause for a second. I don't want to sound cold-hearted. I want you to know I truly empathize with those of you that just have had zero options outside of this. No one saw this coming, right? So if you were a vacation rental and suddenly, all of the travel got shut down and you didn't even have a chance to go find a solution, I am not talking to you right now. I really do empathize with your situation. I'm really sorry. That's what I really want to emphasize here is now it's not too late to go and find a solution to this. So hopefully you're not hearing what I'm saying and being like, wow, that Kyle Stanley's a dick. No, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm trying to encourage you that you are in control of your business. Airbnb is not in control of your business. You are in control of your business. You do not own an Airbnb business. You own a short-term rentals business. So go out and find short-term rental guests. Let me give you the ways right now that I've been finding short-term rental guests, which has not been as profitable as Airbnb, but I'll tell you what, it's way more profitable than a regular long-term rental and way more profitable than a even furnished rental. I'm talking about month-to-month short-term rentals where I'm renting out either rooms or the entire house. Number one, Craigslist. I have found so many new tenants on Craigslist. It's been unbelievable. And, of course, with Craigslist and with all these things off of Airbnb, you don't have the chance of insuring yourself with that Superhost guarantee. But I do have my insurance through Allstate, which is really good for those short-term rentals. So Craigslist has been a great place for me to start. I post something and I get calls probably 3 or 4 times a day from people just looking for either a room or an entire house. Next, Facebook Marketplace. That's been a really good opportunity as well. I'll post that to my actual Facebook page too. So just social networking in general. Next, calling realtors, calling property managers, calling mortgage lenders. That's been part of my game plan as well. And honestly, just letting as many people know what I'm doing right now. Now, when I get that person, I'm not telling them like, yeah, you can move in as long as you want. No, I'm telling them, hey, we're trying to weather a storm right now. We're looking for people that are okay with a month-to-month rental. And if you're okay with that, this could be a really great fit. And of course, I'm going to upcharge because it's month to month and because it's furnished. So a really good example, we had a place that was grossing us before expenses, including maid costs, $3,500. Now our maid costs were right around $600, $700 a month. Our electrical bill is about $200 a month. So that's about $800 worth of expenses. Subtract that from $3,500, you're down to about $2,700. That's what we were taking home after a few other expenses. Now I just mentioned maid costs and electrical because now we're putting electrical and maid costs on the month-to-month guests. So I got that same one that essentially would have gotten me about $2,700 if I took away those expenses. and I'm doing a room by room, $700 per room. That's $2,100. I'm only losing $600 a month. So instead of a business or a listing that was making me $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a month, now it's making me $500, $600, $700 a month. Okay, so I haven't lost. And sorry, not 500, 700, like $700 and $900 a month. I haven't lost everything. I've still got a very profitable business, but it took listening to what other people were doing and going out and finding that solution. How can I get in front of more people? So I share all this not to light a fire under your butt and get you all mad and make you press that dislike button. I share this because I'm encouraging you guys to be your own solution. Find a way to be able to put tenants in your house to weather this storm. And if you can't, if there's a shutdown in your area and there's absolutely no travel and there's X, Y, and Z happening that's 100% out of your control, I'm sorry. I really do apologize for everything that's going on with you right now. Like, this is a time that all of us are empathizing with each other and understand what's going on. But if you have it in your control and all you're doing is complaining or giving up, then you need to change that mindset and stop thinking about yourself as an Airbnb host, but think of yourself as a short-term rentals host. Now, I'll get off of my stool, I'll stop preaching, and I'll encourage you to subscribe, like, comment below. And if you've got anything that you want to talk about, if you want to share with me, if you want to vent about, if you want to just get some advice, all you got to do is go to my Instagram, which is fearlessflipping316, DM me, and I'd love to be able to chat with you and hear what your thoughts are on everything that's going on right now. So again, fearlessflipping316, and let's talk. I think right now is the best time for collaboration and everything that's going on. So I hope this has been a little bit helpful, and looking forward to connecting with you shortly here in the future. Be a part of your own solution, not a part of everyone else's problem. Let's go get them.